Okay, I want to shoot one more quick video. I've actually done quite a few today, and this is on a update to the Transcendental Meditation practice. I've tweaked my practice from the sort of formal training that I received because I found a couple things were missing for me in the practice. One, the way they teach it, you sort of just dive right into a mantra and start saying the mantra in your head, and as you do that, you just relax into a state, and that's worked well. But for me, having quite a bit of mindfulness experience in the past, I found that settling my mind a bit, sort of like zoning it down in a way, has helped me even more. So rather than just go, hey mind, go speak the mantra, say the mantra, and don't do anything else, I have found it better to sort of bring it down a level. And I kind of wrote about this in one of my posts on my website, and also did an article on this, a video on this when I talked about meditation in one of my very early videos. But basically the idea here is one, I just talked about setting intention. You want to set an intention. Okay, when I meditate, before I even go into meditation, and again, this is not taught in the TM classes, but I think it's valuable for a lot of people, especially if you have a trouble staying focused on a meditation, or just throughout the process you feel anxious and antsy and don't want to go through the whole, say, 20-minute sit. That is kind of the general time frame. I think this is really valuable. And what you want to do is set an intention. Set an intention to put aside all of your concerns for the day and for the morning that you're going through, assuming you're doing your meditation first thing in the morning, and just say, look, this 20-minute period, this 25-minute period, half hour, I am fully in the zone. I want to have the most present, wonderful experience I can of just being settled and going as deep as I can into this meditation. I think it really makes a lot of impact in your experience just by setting that conscious intention before you go into the meditation. The other thing I like to do is I like to follow the process that's taught in the book, The Mind Illuminated. And I've talked about this before, but I think that book is a really just like in a league of its own in terms of meditation and mindfulness. And I'm gonna get crap because I know people have criticized me for talking about meditation, with Transcendental Meditation being mindfulness. Again, I'm not teaching Transcendental Meditation. I'm just giving you my sort of adjustment to a process I've learned. It's not TM. Go take a formal class if you really want that. That's my disclaimer. So The Mind Illuminated. I like the concepts in that book because the way he gives you a very technical framework to calm the mind, to kind of bring yourself into a mindful state. And so what happens is, when you wake up, I tend to wake up and have a lot of things jumping around in my mind. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. What's going on? My mind just gets very active as soon as I wake up. And I haven't found a hack. If you know a good hack, let me know. It's hard for me to kind of shut that off and keep that calm. I wanna do stuff. And I find with the process with The Mind Illuminated, what it does is it helps you sort of narrow in on what you're allowing your mind to do. So at first what you do is you sit down, so you set your intention like we talked about of how you want the experience to go. Imagine yourself going through that experience and just sitting there. Resolve to kind of put things aside that you are going to deal with after the sit, so that 30 minutes is blocked out where you don't need to worry about anything. You're just going to focus on meditating. Then when you're there and you sit down and you get comfortable in your posture, you're going to focus on being present. So the first thing you do with the Mind Illuminated process is you take your attention from things that happen in the future and things that are happening in the past, and you just go present moment. So now just focus on everything in the room, all the sounds, the feeling that you have. Just open up your senses. By opening up your senses, you become very present. And that shuts off your ability to sort of focus on thoughts that are going to take you into the future and out of the present or into the past and ruminating. So open up your senses, you get very present. Next thing you do is you're going to shut your eyes and focus on just narrowing your attention, your focus to your body. So you're no longer really, you can still hear sounds, but you're no longer seeing, right? So you're not looking at anything and you're closing your attention down to just your body. Then you're going to focus on just your sort of respiratory area of your body. So at first you might for a moment or two, when you do your body, just scan through from your head down to your toes how your body feels, consciously trying to kind of just focus on relaxing it. And then you're going to go in and narrow into your kind of breathing, and you're going to feel the air going down through your trachea into your lungs, and then your diaphragm, and then back out. And so that breath is sort of focusing on your breath. I try to stay there for a few moments just to make sure I don't jump back out to a thought about the future or like get distracted, because my mind, again, it takes a minute to kind of settle it down. And then once I've been there for like say 5 or 10 breaths, I count my breaths. And again, this is not a TM practice, this is my own kind of refinement. And what I'll do is I'll count, I really zone in actually from the respiratory whole flow to just like this area of my nose, where I'm just focusing on the air flowing in and out of my nostrils at the tip of my nose. That's where I focus my attention, how I feel, what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking any thoughts at this point. I'm just really just trying to observe in a non-judgmental way the actual air flowing in and out of my nostrils. At that point, I count. So I'm like, in for 1, out for 2. In for 3, and I do a 10 count. And by the 10 count, I shift to the mantra. And the mantra is whatever, you can look this up online, find a mantra that works for you. Essentially, it's a saying or, a sort of sound with in my experience, without a meaning. So it doesn't really trigger the mind to start thinking about something. And you repeat the mantra in your head at a normal conversational volume. And you repeat that. It doesn't have to be a rhythm. It can be a rhythm. The point is just not to really specifically go crazy with it as far as how you want to do it. Just start saying the mantra and try your best to focus on, all right, I'm going to nail down this mantra and really say it and focus on it. That gets you into a state, and I would say within a few moments you start to drop down, and what will happen for me is like I'll start to get really relaxed pretty quickly, and I'll come back out and I'll go, I'm so relaxed, and I'll stop and I'll forget the mantra, and I just have to remember to go back to the mantra and remind myself to stay focused on the mantra throughout the sit. Once I'm done, I try to make a quick journal. When you're done with your meditation though, before you even journal, when you stop the mantra, generally speaking, just let your mind sort of sit there and don't have anything to do for like about 30 to 45 seconds after your timer goes off, to just kind of let yourself settle back into or up into a more conscious flow. So that's an update on the TM practice and how I'm doing it. I find that my days are much more grounded, and I'm still doing it twice a day, 20 minutes. Around 4:30, 5 o'clock, I do my second meditation, and around 20, 30 minutes after I get up, I do my first. And I find that that's a pretty good sort of balance for me. Going later in the day, I put it off and it's not as important to me. And then if I go too early, I feel like I haven't really built up enough to kind of really reset, and it just seems like it's a good balance to do it that way. So I'm going to keep both those practices, or keep this process that I have right now. I think it's really, really good, and it seems to be working really well. There is an advanced techniques class I'm thinking about taking, but I'm going to wait since the general recommendation is to do the general DM practice for at least 4 months before you go invest in an even more advanced class. And I think I have a long way to go in just handling, just being there and sitting and doing the practice. But overall, I would say between the combination of no coffee and transcendental meditation, I've seen a dramatic reduction in anxiety and an increase in quality of sleep, which has left me feeling much more clear-headed and more focused throughout my day. And overall just happier, because I feel like I just have more control consciously of how I'm feeling and my state. And that's really empowering. And I wish that on a lot of people. I think a lot of people struggle with a lot of these things, and they have a lot of addictions. They have a lot of ways of avoidance, of avoiding what's painful, whether it's emotion, a habit, and they're not really doing what they really want to do. And in order to really do what you want to do, you have to define your values, you have to really focus on some goals, and you got to optimize yourself so you can be the best possible version of yourself to get those things done, I believe. So as always, keep crushing and let me know what your thoughts are.